What can I do for you, Jim?
I said give me the brandy!
Space, the final frontier. Star Trek really freaks me out and stuff.
Oh, hello, Starfleet Academy Dropout. My name's Adam, and
I like Star Trek.
so this is part 4 of my 4-part transporter fuck-up, transporter mishaps, transporter shenanigans little series.
Captain Kirk ready to beam up.
Just one moment, Captain.
This is the best transporter mishap episode, and it's also the first transporter mishap episode. This is The Enemy Within from Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 5. And it's a classic. I'm going to try and sum it up in 60 seconds or less. Start that timer. Show opens up with the Enterprise orbiting Alpha 177. There's an away team down there, which includes Sulu, Kirk, some others. Crewman in a karate gi spills mustard on him and gets him emergency transported up. The magnetic mustard residue all over his gi breaks the transporter. Kirk gets beamed up. 1 minute later, a second Kirk is beamed up. This Kirk is evil. You can tell he's evil because, he looks evil. And the music. Evil Kirk does evil Kirk stuff, and, Bones, Spock, and good Kirk. They do a science experiment on Sulu's dog, which also had an evil duplicate, and they try to put it back together, and the dog died. Spock's like, well, you're intelligent. You'll fix it. You'll fix yourself in the transporter. And that's what happens. He gets fixed. Stranded crewmen make it back up, and it has a happy ending.
Unknown to any of us during this time, a duplicate of me, some strange alter ego, had been created by the transporter malfunction.
This is my all-time favorite episode of Star Trek, ever. Whenever someone asks, where should I start? I tell them, start with this one. And then watch The Cage. And then watch them all out of order, because it doesn't really matter. There's no continuity in the original series. But I love this one in particular because it reminds me a lot of... I had a lot of sci-fi horror elements. And I like my scary sci-fi. How do you like your sci-fi? Medium, well done. Scary, that's how I like it. Recently got Shudder to watch the Guar documentary. And I realized they had a bunch of classic 60s and 70s and 80s sci-fi horrors and slasher films. And so I've been spending my free time watching scary movies before bed, because that's what healthy individuals do, I think. It can't be any worse than stuff I do on other nights, so...
Please! I want to live!
With this episode in particular, very well written, very well acted, and just good. Actually, the writer is a sci-fi horror writer. It's Richard Matheson. Most notably, he did the screenplay for Omega Man, I Am Legend, and he also did an episode of The Twilight Zone, the one with Kirk himself, Terror at 20,000, the one where he sees a little goblin on the wing. What I think I like most about this episode is, besides the comedic evil Kirk, is there's actually stakes. There's more than just, hey, there's two Kirks, how do we get them back into one body? There's also the stranded crewmen on the planet. As it gets closer to nightfall in the beginning of the episode, Kirk says, hey, it drops down to negative 120 at night. And so they're racing the clock to get their stranded crewmen back on board, as well as trying to find this imposter Kirk and figure out what to do with him.
Grab him. He's the imposter.
But this imposter evil Kirk, he's the best. He's just evil. Once he jumps off that transporter, then he punches someone immediately. And then he goes down to sick bay to get some booze, because apparently in Star Trek, that's where they keep their booze. Is there no tent forward? Is there no bar? I mean, it shows the mess hall where they eat like weird, colorful Play-Doh cubes. But there's no booze down there. I guess you gotta have a prescription for booze in this century. It's like the pilot where the doctor brings his medical bag to Captain Pike's quarters. Pike, he's like, "What's in the bag, Doc?" And he opens it up. He's like, "I got martinis. You need to unwind. You need to take it easy. Doctor's orders." I'm like, I wish I had a doctor like that. My doctor wants me to be healthy. He's like, "Maybe you should stop drinking." This doctor's like, "Keep drinking. You're working too hard." That guy's cool. I want that guy as my doctor. Can he be my primary care doctor? I don't know. Do you take United?
I said, give me the brandy!
Also, another great element from this episode is the split personality. This trope is shown again throughout Star Trek, but most notably it's done in Voyager very well in the first season. There's an episode where the Vidian monsters, those, I guess we'll call them what they are. They're pretty much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre children, I guess. And they like to cut your faces off and wear your skin because they're crazy people. But really, they're not crazy people. They just have a disease. And you're like, why not just use alien faces and body parts to make us feel better? I guess that's where the science took them. But in that episode, there are two Balanas. The Vidians are doing a science experiment on her where they split her genome into Klingon and human, because for those who don't know, she's a mixed race lady. What do you call that? Half Klingon, half human. Hot is what it is, man. I've seen Kalar. It's pretty hot. B'Elanna. I don't know what I think sexier, human B'Elanna or Klingon, full 100% full Klingon. They're both super sexy. I like the Klingon version better because that's my thing. Klingon women. You can buy my face. It's all good. I'm not scared. Got a bat'leth. I'll swing it around. Yell obscenities. I speak Klingon poorly. Know the bad words. But in that episode with the split personality B'Elanna, it's not really split personality, split the two bodies. But the Klingon version of herself was all like ego, take charge type thing. Whereas the human version was more like reserved and scared. And you see that also with, I guess we'll just call them Good Kirk and Evil Kirk. Good Kirk and Evil Kirk both share the same memories, but Good Kirk is kind of unsure of himself, lets his fear show, and he even shows through so much that Spock's like, "Do I need to relieve you of duty? Because you can't make up your mind, Captain." Evil Kirk, on the other hand, was very sure of himself, just full ego to the max. He's like, "I'm gonna get drunk on brandy. Ew, that's the worst drunk." And then punch people in the halls, harass a yeoman, which that seems a little awkward. He gets scratched in the face, but the best part is in the third act, where Evil Kirk and Good Kirk have a little standoff on the bridge. They're pointing at each other like the Spider-Man meme. And Evil Kirk yells the best line in the whole show.
Don't you understand? I'm captain of the ship! This is my ship! My ship! It's mine!
And it's a lot of fun. The science of the whole thing is kind of unscientific from a 2022 standpoint, modern science. Basically, Kirk, Bones, Spock, down in sickbay, and they just run a test with Sulu's dog. They got beamed up, two of them. Evil dog, good dog. They put them both on a transporter pad together and try to reintegrate their bodies, and the dog died. Spock surmises that he died because, well, he's not smart. He let fear take over, and it's the fear, the shock, the horror that killed him. And he's like, "But you'll live, Captain, because you're a rational being, and you're intelligent." Bones is like, "The fuck does that mean? It's not intelligence, dude. It's science." And I always love the push and pull of science versus logic between Bones and Spock. That's just that good medicine. That's why I watch Star Trek. It's an uplifting. It helps me feel better to see two grown men argue about science versus logic.
I have no sympathy for clumsiness.
Well, there's one tragic moment. There's one casualty in this episode. And that's Sulu's dino dog. In the beginning of the episode, you see Sulu holding, it looks like the lady dog. I'm not saying it's a female dog. I'm just saying it looks like Lady from Lady and the Tramp. Cocker Spaniel. Spaniel. Spaniard? All I'm picturing is Gladiator. Russell Crowe. Looking all sexy AF. Still looking sexy. Just saw Thor, Love and Thunder. You look great. Don't let other people tell you otherwise. Greek accent. On point, dude. Keep up the good work. Still holding out for Gladiator 2, even though I think he died. Spoiler alert, he dies in the first one, but who's gonna break the Sue that his dog died? I don't want to be the one that tells him. I mean, all this happens when he was stuck on the planet, freezing to death. Once they raise up his body temperature in sick bay, who's gonna be the one to break it to him? Like, hey man, you know your dog? He's like, yeah, I named him Rex, because he's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He kind of looks like a dinosaur. Kind of looks like a Muppet. His name's Rex. Yeah, he died. Sorry, bud. Here's a tribble and a fencing foil. I heard you like fencing. But don't play with both at the same time. It could become a bloody mess. Evil Kirk was the best in this episode. I kind of want to see a show all about Evil Kirk. Maybe set in, I don't know, modern Los Angeles. And it's just Evil Kirk getting drunk on brandy, harassing people at grocery stores, strangers punching people, harassing the baristas, the valet guys, you know. Maybe he goes to a country club. It'll be like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Curb Your Kirk. That's the title. But even better, it'll be the Kirk now, Shatner now, 90 years old, just acting a fool. Evil Kirk. Curb Your Kirk, coming soon to Paramount Plus or HBO Max. Who knows? Whoever will pick it up. Give me a writing credit. You don't have to. I'm a bad writer. This is a shit podcast, and well, just create it. I'll watch it and I'll talk about it. It'll be awesome. I really don't know what else to say about this episode besides it's just great. Some scary elements, some funny elements, and just classic 60s sci-fi and horror elements all wrapped into one. Great episode. The Enemy Within. Go watch it. I watched it twice this week in preparation for this. You wouldn't be able to tell because it just feels like rambling and ranting, but that's what I do best.
Report.
You guys ready for your Klingon lesson for the week?
How to speak Klingon.
This week I'm going to teach you how to say to be vicious. As in the verb vicious. Like vicious, evil Kirk. You know, the one that came up with the transporter. And that phrase is nas. Well, that's your Klingon lesson. Well, I hope you had fun listening to this episode. I hope you learned something. You probably didn't learn anything besides maybe a Klingon word. If you're looking for some goofiness, something funny, go check out the Dad Fights, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you'd like to start a podcast for yourself, use Buzzsprout because they're awesome. There is a link in the description below. Use it. I guess to close this thing out, let's hear a song. A song about Captain Kirk. It's probably what one of the crewmen were saying. Where's Captain Kirk? And that's the title of this song. It's by a band called Spiz Energy. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you next week.